Order at 7 p.m. Let the record show that those present are Greg, Brent, Michael, Denver, Steve, and Jared. Absent is Adam. Item number 2 on our agenda, we're going to consider the approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of Planning and Zoning held on November 1st, 2022. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes as written or with any changes?
No changes, and I move to accept the minutes as written.
Second.
Motion made by George, seconded by
Greg.
Greg, thank you. All right, item number 3, consider approval of minutes from the regular meeting of Planning and Zoning held on February 21st, 2023. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes as written or with any changes?
Move to approve as written.
Steve makes a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Greg seconds it.
Mr. Chairman, may I now, Greg, you're alternate, right?
Yes.
What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, 5 members, 2 alternates. Okay, very good. Just wanted to make sure I had everything straight there. Okay, I'm voting.
All right, item number 4, visitor comments. Anybody have any comments they want to make? All right, on to the next.
That's hot.
All right, item number 5 on our agenda tonight, we're going to review and consider a site plan for the property located at 2370 Justin Road, being Lot 1AR, Block A of the Nelson Properties Addition. Ms. Autumn will come and give us a briefing.
Get this out of the way here. Chairman, Commissioners, Autumn Amon, Community Development Coordinator. Bear with me a little bit here. I'm going to go through some of the briefing, so I might be a little wordy as we go through this application. So we received an application for a site plan to construct a building of approximate 4,915 square foot for Breaks Plus. This building is currently located where the Chase building is. Now, the new address on the Chase building will be 2374 Justin Road. I had made an error in the briefing. I had noted this as 2370, okay? That is currently the address for the Chase building, but once they split it in half, it will become 2374. So this bank will be demolished. Breaks Plus will lease only the western portion of the property from the new property owner. Victory Shops Highland Village now owns that property. Even though they are leasing half of the property, they have tried to come into compliance to meet all the aspects of the ordinances as it relates to the portion that they are leasing. The zoning on the property is planned development retail, so minor automotive isn't allowed use. Compliance is the non-residential overlay zoning ordinance in our base comprehensive zoning ordinance. So the applicant had taken into consideration the whole site outside their lease area when preparing their site plan, showing all existing landscaping, parking, et cetera, everything that's out there right now. So on this site, they will comply with parking. It is calculated at 1 space per 300 square foot of floor space. The exterior of the building will be brick and stucco. They're complementing the area, trying to stick to the non-residential look and feel ordinance as much as possible. Landscaping, they will have to remove a total of 10 crepe myrtles and 1 oak tree, and will replant additional trees and landscaping. 50% foundation plantings is required by ordinance, which they meet. Sidewalks, they'll construct a 5-foot sidewalk along FM 407 outside of their lease area. Monument sign, they will share that monument sign with whoever might lease the eastern portion of that property. Now, building signage, per ordinance states 1 sign per tenant space per street frontage. Additional signage may be requested at site plan, however, it cannot be larger than the primary sign. So Brakes Plus is requesting additional signage on their building. Primary sign being the one on the south elevation, which you'll have within your signage package here. The east sign is not larger than the primary sign. It is just the same size as the primary sign, okay? So city staff, fire department, city engineer, we've all reviewed this application, and we feel it does comply with the ordinances. So in your package tonight, you have the site plan submittal along with the resolution. The city attorney now wants to start attaching site plans as we go forward to resolutions, okay? Especially if you might be considering some type of exception to this site plan, other than verbally just having to put it in a motion, and then maybe down the road, we might not be able to find it, or how did this happen? We're gonna have everything right here, okay? It'll make it easier also on your motion. So tonight, you'll consider the site plan with the resolution. That is the end of my briefing. We do have Michael Grooms with Bowler Engineering here tonight, along with John Davis. He is here with Brakes Plus, and if it's okay with the commission, he would like to come forward and explain Brakes Plus a little bit to you. And then after that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. Good?
Good.
Good.
Okay. So just state your name, address.
Good afternoon. My name is John Davis with Brakes Plus, 1880 South Park Drive, Hoover, Alabama, 35244. First of all, thank you all for having us. And we have been looking at Highland Village for a couple of years now. I feel like it's a great community, great city. And as we've expanded into Texas, Brakes Plus is based out of Denver, Colorado. But as we've expanded into Texas, this area has been kind of on our radar, and we felt like it's needing for us to be there. We feel like we can be very successful. We feel like we could be a big community member. That's kind of what we pride ourselves on. When we open a store, we meet with a chamber, we meet with surrounding businesses. We try to build a relationship with the community first and foremost, because that's reality. That's how you're successful. The customers are your neighbors. The customers are the people within the community. And so that's kind of focus one. And so in doing that, we've been working with staff, and we feel like we've come up with together a very good site plan and great elevations that complement the area. And just kind of give you a little bit of a background with Brakes Plus. Started in Denver, we have about 105 locations now. Mainly, the majority of our stores are Denver, and we're growing into the DFW market. You may have seen a few around here, a couple in the DFW market, but we are definitely expanding. We feel like it's a great market. We're open 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday. We are not open on Sunday, and we'll never be open on Sunday. Specialize in minor auto service, with the main specialty being brakes. So you'll have brakes, minor tune-ups, a little bit of suspension work, alignments, things of that nature. We do not sell tires. And in fact, we actually partner with Discount Tire a lot of times. Sure. So we'll do their alignment work and their brake work while our customers get tires from Discount or another tire vendor. So in this site plan, it works very well for what our use is. And we have 8 service bays, nice lobby and waiting room for customers. No vehicles parked out overnight. If they're waiting on a part, they're going to be inside the bays with the bay doors shut. We feel like at the end of the day, we want to be a community member and would love to. And we thank you all for your consideration on this. And if you have any questions, I'm free to answer.
I'm sure we will.
Just a quick question. Are they franchise locations or it's all corporate owned?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you happen to review our new comp plan? we've been kind of, I don't know if it's finalized, is it, Autumn? The new comprehensive plan with McAdams?
Yeah, it is fine.
Okay. Because I thought there was a part in there about how we wanted to handle the sidewalk along 407.
You're reading over my shoulder, aren't you? I had the same thing written down.
Yeah, excuse me, I do know they have plans to construct that sidewalk all along 407.
Yeah.
I don't know when that is planned. However, though, when we're looking at site plans on commercial plans, that is a requirement per
Right,
ordinance.
right.
Will the city in the future come back and then make adjustments and/or widen that?
That's my
Possibly,
question,
yes.
is I hate to build something now and then later have to tear it out and widen it,
That
or?
timeline is, though.
Okay.
Yeah, so as we go forward on the commercial, we're going to have them put
Right, right,
that minimum 5 foot.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
So the minimum is 5 foot, but I know in the comp plan with, at least that presentation with McAdams, we were trying to get like an 8 foot all along 407, correct?
And especially in this area, because I had requested that from the applicant first.
Yes.
With all the infrastructure in there and that, very difficult to get an 8 foot in there.
Okay, there is, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How, one more question, Autumn. How, if the east side is leased to a building, what's our separation requirement?
No internal setback requirements.
Oh, so it could be butted right up to it?
Yeah, but
that what you
you
meant?
have to meet building code, fire.
Oh, that's what I
code,
meant,
and
yeah,
that. Yeah,
Okay. Okay, so somebody could, I guess my question is, somebody could build a building there, and what is our restriction for the space, for the easement, or the, not the easement, what's the space?
What is the setback requirement between both of those? I'm trying to remember.
I mean, it looks like it's got 5 feet from the property line here. Is it 5 feet on the other one as well? Is that the minimum?
It probably will be.
Okay.
They'll have to meet. There's no really internal when it's residential like that. However, you have to meet the building codes. And that's a good standard
Yeah.
right there.
Okay.
I do know, just going forward, we do not have an application, but 7 Brew Coffee was looking at that. Therefore, if they do come forward, then also, just an FYI, that'd be your stacking lane.
So would the other building, if it does go in, would that block the signage that's facing east?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That I cannot answer until we see their full site plan.
'Cause I would, it may be, Mr. David, this is for you. You know, one of my pet peeves, and these guys know, is signage. I think we get oversigned here on buildings. And for there to be 3 signs right there on the building within, you know, just a couple of feet around the corner and things like that, to me, that's oversigned. And my question, remember, I was going where you were going. If there's a building there, you're not even going to see
Right.
the east sign. So would you guys be willing just to put signs on the 2 sides? I mean, that's one more than our ordinance would allow anyway, so.
So the east side of this property is this,
Yeah, right side.
there we go. Perfect. So the east side of this property is actually going to be, I think,
It's,
that one right here. So this right here.
that's right, yeah.
So
It
that-
is a higher one.
Yeah, so that tower element is our branding. That's what kind of we're known for, is that one tower element that everybody sees. And, you know, the plan is to keep that tower element at least signed, so that we meet our branding.
Okay. So you want to brand both, though, I understand that, both the tower side. But again, you know, if your neighbor to the east is as high or as tall as you, that branding is going to go away.
Towards the front of the building though, right? It'd be towards the
It's right at
407 side?
the very front of it, so.
It's-
No, and we
Very
kind of going on unknowns, not knowing what will end up in that spot.
I know.
That's the east side.
But it'd still be
We've got,
visible.
we've
Yeah,
got
3.
brakes plus here, brakes plus here, brakes plus, and they got a monument sign saying brakes plus right there. And to me, I think that's just overkill for us. I mean, that's why we have an ordinance that says, hey, one building, one sign. And I'm not opposed to going outside of that, but I think this is going way outside of that with the monument sign and 3 sides. So I was trying to see if you eliminate one because of that building, that would seem the obvious one, but I don't know, I would want to be limited to 2 at the most on the building. And I don't know how you guys feel, but that's again, I just think we're oversigned. And it's a fairly large sign. I mean, over the bays, it kind of makes sense there. The front makes sense. I don't know. It's just and I know it's branding purposes, but just on that side seems a little overkill to me. But I'm open to anybody else's thoughts.
I am in agreement that there seems to be quite a bit of signage.
If we were to reduce the size of that sign, would that be helpful?
From what, 7? It's 7 now, right?
Yeah, the east side, yeah, so 7 feet. Let's say we make it 4 feet.
4 feet on the east side? Let me see, what size is your west side? Just it says, there's just the lettering Breaks Plus.
Yeah.
Oh, that's 2.5? Yeah.
37
Oh,
inch.
37, okay.
Yeah.
So it's a foot bigger than that.
So if you stack them, that would make the 7 foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's roughly.
Yeah, so same size letters, you're just stacking them on the branding side.
Yeah.
Correct.
So one of the things that I went and did after the sign question came up on one of the other properties, I kind of went and drove around the shops, and almost all of them have more than one sign. Am I?
But
They've
the
got
shops also has their own signage criteria.
they have a different,
Area,
right.
such as the.
So is it different for this location?
Yes.
Because Chase had multiple
This
signs.
is non-residential overlay and what's not noted in there. Then you go back to our base zoning ordinance.
Right.
Yeah. Base zoning ordinance and that, it's based off the side area and they cannot be larger than 300 square foot. Such as with the shops, they regulate, hey, they should own, based on the square footage of the building, maybe it can be 2 foot, 3 foot, 4 foot, 6 foot,
Right.
on and on. So they are different.
And the Chase building they had multiple signs on that building and the mark, or the,
I'm trying to recall.
think it was
know
just
they
on
had
the-
one on the front,
I think it was just the one on the front, wasn't it?
then was
I
back
think they had the one on the side
Did
too,
they?
on the east
I
side.
can't remember.
Yeah, I just remember the one in the front. So.
Yeah, I can't remember on the east side.
and removed.
I've slept since then.
Yeah.
Yeah, as many times as I drove in there.
You know what? There were 2 items. Sign was one of them.
Okay.
The other one had to go back to our sidewalk. I noticed you had a 4 foot on the west side of the building, 5 foot. Would you be willing to change at all to 5 foot to be even?
Answer that.
Or is that possible over there?
Good afternoon, Commission. My name is Michael Grooms. I'm with Bowler Engineering, 2600 Network Boulevard, Frisco, Texas, 75034. So the sidewalk that we are proposing out there today, we're trying to get 5 feet everywhere we can. The problem out there is, if you go drive it or go look at it on Google Maps, you see there's a lot of existing utility infrastructure out there, so a lot of those big telephone boxes, big power boxes, things that if we were to relocate those, that's going to be additional strain on the city. Additionally, you don't see it on this plan, but again, if you drive out there, look at it on Google Maps, there's a drainage swale adjacent running from the northwest to the southeast along Justin Road there. So really, any bigger sidewalk in those areas where we couldn't quite get that 5 feet, we're trying to mitigate any kind of downstream impacts to any other developments, keep our development impact as on-site as we can within that lease area.
Okay. So what you're saying is 4 feet is as big as we can get there without affecting the swell and the utilities?
Yes, sir, that's correct. Just with those existing constraints that are out there today, if you look towards the southeast on Justin Road, southeast of the building, we're able to achieve 5 feet in that area for the most part. We're constrained by a few spots there, but we try to get 5 feet wherever we could there. And then on that northwest side, on that corner there, you really run into those existing site constraints where really not possible to get a full 5-foot width along that area due to the existing conditions that are out there today.
Do you know how much linear feet that is?
I don't know the linear feet off the top of my head. If you're talking about the plan bottom left here,
Yeah.
that alignment, the way that it's laid out is to actually match up to that existing sidewalk. That existing sidewalk that's out there today is a 4-foot sidewalk. So just trying to get up there with the way that the existing ground slopes up to that sidewalk, that's kind of where to take that.
Switchback?
Yeah, more unusual alignment there.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so that explains that one. Go back to our sign issue then. Trying to picture this as what that would look like.
Well, so I have a question about on the landscape planning. So this is on the landscape planning, I guess, LP1 sheet. So there's removal of trees. So where there's an X on this, so essentially because it's only half being leased, the trees that are being removed are only on the west half, correct?
Yes.
There's no trees that are being removed on the east half of that entire property.
Yes, that's correct there.
Okay.
So all of those X's there, they are contained within the lease area of this Breaks Plus development. None of the trees on that eastern portion are going to be affected by this development.
Which was kind of, as I drove by it, and there's a lot of trees over there. And so you're talking about your sign issue. Can you even see the sign when you're rolling up through those trees? Is it even visible to begin with without removal of all those trees? Which again, I'm not an expert on any of that. I just, as I was driving by, I noticed, I was like, because again, we've had the sign issue kind of come up again, and I was like, yeah, they're asking for a sign on the east side, and I'm driving from the east side with all those trees in the way, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's an issue.
You're almost on.
So, at least today, without
the
removal
front.
of those trees, which is why I was asking about the landscape plan. So.
Well, ultimately, we hope somebody comes there, and we do believe that they won't be, just based on how the parking is set up and how they've got to hit their parking as well.
Yeah.
We believe that they'll at least be the depth that we are. And so, as far as blocking, I'm sure if you're coming way, if you're a quarter of a mile away, it probably will be blocked. But as you get closer with the angles, it should be able to be seen anyway.
Yeah. Well, there's a massive tree in the corner of that thing, and yeah, you got to get.
Yeah, you're right.
Even when you're pulling up to the light, unless there was something done to the tree, more than likely for your sign to be seen, it needs to either be pruned or something would have to happen for it to be visible. I'm guessing. But you kind of get down in that low spot by Walgreens, you may be able to look under and see it. But thought I'd just point it out, and I just wanted clarification on that, because it just looked like, you look at the property, there's trees all over the place, but I guess it was just removal of the west side. I just want to make sure that was clarified. And then this is more of Autumn, a question related to, I know I asked this before, but I just want to make sure it's straight in my mind. So, because we've had this happen before where H2O went in and basically leased kind of a similar thing where they broke up.
Right, you're correct, yep.
Okay, and again, just so I'm thinking about this correctly, that's done in platting, right? When the only, because it's not like a subdivision where you're subdividing it like in a residential. When someone goes and leases half of a zoned property, so it takes the western half. The only thing that really needs to be done is on the platting side, correct?
No, they can lease this piece of property without platting it. So this piece of property can be, too. We cannot legally force them to plat it if they're just leasing it. However, then, if Breaks Plus in the future purchases that property, you cannot sell it off by meets and bounds. They will have to replat it. Therefore, that's why they tried to meet all the requirements, or they did, as far as on this one piece, in case in the future they do purchase it and plat it in half, it's going to meet all requirements from the non-residential overlay
Yeah.
in the base zoning ordinance.
Which is kind of maybe the discussion to have, like if somebody does come in there and get sold, or they want to buy it or whatever, are you know, do you do that on the front end? Do you just pass it through and not have to plat it? Anyways, just
No.
not making just a comment, just saying we had this before.
Yep.
And I just want to make sure that.
That's per ordinance, you cannot
Yeah.
sell it off by meets and bounds.
Okay.
Yes.
Is the main entrance going to be on 407 for your business then? Is that the expectation based on how that,
Yes, so that's an existing
the front?
access. And so, yes, it'll be there.
okay.
My own opinion on this is that, given the trees on the east side of the lot, and the fact that there's potential for a building going on the east side of that property, and the fact that you've got a monument sign out front, I think that the signage on the east side of your building is extraneous. That's my own personal feeling.
Okay, so if I went ahead and just said we will remove it on the east side,
Perfect.
everybody happy?
Cut to the chase.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, if we'll remove that, I think that, to me, that was one of my biggest issues, so,
Okay, well then let's remove it on the east side.
okay?
Anybody have any questions? No. Who wants to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I will make a motion that we accept, or that we make a recommendation to the city council to accept the plat as is, with the exception of the east side sign will not be there, or will be eliminated.
Second?
Brent seconds. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Nope. Motion carries.
Thank you, sir.
5-0. All righty, thank you.
Welcome to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Brent.
Brent.
Shuffle the stack.
I know.
Are we ready to move on?
I think so.
All right, item number 6 on our agenda tonight, we're going to review and consider a site plan for the property located at 105 Barnett Boulevard, Lot 3B of the Barnett subdivision.
Okay, let me just get some of these.
All right.
Autumn, you need a hand? I'm gonna take that as a yes.
I'll let you start clapping.
You were waiting for me to clap?
Someone's got to be, Kim.
All right. Make sure we got everything of what's needed. Okay. Okay. On this next one, okay, so we received an application for a site plan to construct an approximate 5,975 square foot building for the Bouillon Temple and Zen Center at 105 Barnett Boulevard. This property is currently zoned SF40, single-family residential. Now, a church or a place of worship is an allowed use within all zoning districts within the city of Highland Village, okay? So on their proposed site plan, you will see future parking and future buildings. They have it all labeled there, future. Right now, only with this one site plan here, they are only going to construct the one building at this time. The site plan and exhibits are for this one building at this moment. So when they do get ready to build the other 2 additional buildings and any future parking, they're still going to have to come back in front of the commission for a site plan amendment. They're still going to have to meet all the requirements that you would on this site plan, reference to your foundation plantings. They're still going to show you what any additional trees that are going to have to be removed, and et cetera, okay? So there are a lot of trees on this lot. I actually did go and walk the property here a couple weeks ago. Within the tree survey that you did receive, they were showing a total of 168 trees that were counted. And for this building, they will have to remove a total of 22 trees, while then planting an additional 14 trees along Barnett Boulevard. They will be placing approximate 110,000 square foot of sod within the disturbed area, as shown on the landscape plan. They are required to plant 50% foundation plantings, and they have met that. They will construct a 5-foot sidewalk along Barnett Boulevard. Current parking for this one building only. Now, parking's based off of 1 parking space for each 4 seats in the main sanctuary, okay? Talking with the applicant and the proposed building, they stated approximate 60 seats, and that's based off approximate 1,300 square foot of the sanctuary area, okay? Now, per ordinance, when a non-residential use backs up to a residential zoning district, they are to construct a solid masonry or brick wall, not less than 6 foot, not taller than 8 foot. However, they can ask for alternate screening at site plan approval. And that's what they want to do. So on the east side of the property, over here, currently there are existing fences along all those properties. Part of one of the fences, it does belong with the temple. So you're looking at 4 lots. They want to ask for the exception not to have to build a masonry screen wall. There is also the 35-foot water, sewer, and drainage easement back there on the temple's property. There are existing trees within that drainage easement that are shown to be, to remain. So it might make it difficult to put a screening wall back in there. If they were to build one, they might even have to bring it as far in next to the detention pond area, or remove some of the additional trees they show that are going to remain within that easement area. So tonight, once again, you have the resolution with the site plan and the exception. Within the resolution, it talks about the exception for the screen wall. And it also states, though, if we need to revisit the need for a screen wall when it comes forward for the site plan amendment on those other 2 buildings, we can revisit that need. Maybe they cut down a whole lot more trees or such as that when they come forward the next time. We can still revisit this screen wall. However, at this time, they are asking for the exception of not to have to build it. So that is the end of my briefing here. We do have some representatives here with the temple, Mr. Choi and Kevin Shu, the architect, and several others. Do you want to address the commission, or? They're here to answer any questions that you guys might have, or I'll try to answer as many questions that I can that you might have myself.
So how many signs?
And that is one thing, at this time, through this site plan, there is no signage.
I didn't see a sign. Didn't see a sign.
Our planning is the statue still
It's
up
on
front.
it's on the legend here.
The statue
there
that's
isn't
up
one.
front there along Barnett, they're planning on moving
where
that
it's on
to
there
the back,
somewhere.
within that garden area that's noted on the site plan.
There it is.
But no monument sign, no building signage at this time.
Okay.
So the shading area.
How are we going to find it?
We're going to have concrete at this point, and then
So we are allowed to
Fire line on
revisit
either
the
side of
wall
that
issue
building.
for
That
if
bothers
these
me.
other 2.
Yes, now read within the resolution. Do I have it here?
Autumn, as far,
Section 2,
sorry.
and then it breaks down A, B, and C. It can be modified or repealed at future site plan amendment, revisited.
Okay.
Any additional trees that have to be removed within here, we'll have to get approval from the city manager, they have to get an arborist and that, you know, to let us know on that. However, those 6-foot fences along those existing properties, they shall remain also too, so we just have to.
And that's what I was going to ask you. There's an existing fence.
Correct.
Okay.
These neighbors have existing 6-foot. The temple did come in and build.
Put it in the drive, Asher Drive.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah.
And built the fence right there,
And
filled it in.
the 200-foot rule,
that was my next question.
is it from property line, the 200 feet, when you got to notify everybody, or is it 200 feet from the
Now,
building?
one thing about a resolution, this is no public hearing.
Yeah.
There is
Okay.
no 200-foot rule.
Yeah.
Got- All right.
Yeah, it's not a zoning change, you're just asking for the exception,
Exception,
which
yeah.
stated within site plan, they can ask for an exception to the screening requirement at site plan.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Because we're not changing the zoning.
We're not changing the zoning.
Okay.
On the parking spaces, Autumn, does it meet what we need with the current plan versus future,
With the current, yes, of what's up front.
as far as number of
Yeah.
seats
And you see the
versus?
future where they're going to have it up front and here. However, though, once again, once they do site plan amendment on both those other buildings, though, if we need additional parking, depending on the use, you know, we'll have to get that at that time.
Autumn, for the area that they have designated for future parking, what planting is in that area now?
I think it's all
I think it's just
dirt
sod,
right
wasn't
now,
it?
isn't it?
Yeah, that's,
Say they were going to sod it.
No, I'm
No,
talking on the west side of the building. Yeah, that's the designated parking, but on the other side of the drive,
Right here?
yeah, that's being designated for future parking. What's in there now? Is it just
just
sod?
Oh, it's
Yeah.
all,
Just sod.
just dirt.
And future parking area will be grass until future
Ah.
buildings are built.
Yeah.
yeah.
almost
Too
all the
prominent.
trees are on that east.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
And then anything they do disturb with this one building, that's where all that sod will go in.
And Autumn, this has been previewed by the fire department also? They're
Yes,
they're
it
okay
has.
with the fire lane not being there yet?
This back and forth with comments, being the fire department, utility, director of public works, and our city engineer, SPI.
Okay.
We've been going back and forth,
Okay.
yes.
So really, Section 2A, I mean, because it can be revisited and it's a resolution, essentially, you can just, kind of push it back. I mean, you can say, yeah, it's so far back from where the first building's going to be constructed, that at least for this resolution, it can be addressed, like you said, some other time.
When they do, yeah, if there's any changes or any modifications.
It has
they
to
do
be-
Another site plan amendment on these, yeah. 'cause
As you
they have
start to remove more trees and go further back,
I
and
mean, I got
Look at it each time.
Yeah.
They
I
do
got to
that.
tell you, I mean, for a natural screen, there's an existing natural screen now with all those trees. That's, to me, better than the 6-foot high fence at this point.
Right.
And you have to remove those trees to put in 6-foot high fence. Just, I think, you know, eventually, I don't know, I hate to remove any more trees than we have to back there.
Yeah.
yeah, and is there a reason why there's tree removal in the very back of the property on the far east side where, I guess, just for clarification,
Because
there's an easement back there with the city and there needs to be constructed a retention pond, but there's not one currently.
that is correct. They'll
Okay.
have to remove just those trees for that detention pond area.
Okay, because the detention pond has to go in.
That's correct. Yes,
Okay.
for all the drainage, yeah.
For all the
They
drainage.
worked with the city engineers
Okay.
That's
and
there
Director
now.
of Public
I know.
Works heavily on the drainage.
Okay, so really it was
Is it going to stay?
the city kind of dictating, hey, you need to probably remove these trees to be able to construct that retention pond?
You have the right
understanding.
to remove the
Good
trees
question,
if
though.
they're with any ordinances,
just
the building
assumed.
pad, your parking easements.
Easements?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because it's an easement back there, so it falls within the city's
that is correct.
ability to say, hey, take that tree out.
Yes.
Okay.
Autumn, did I miss the demolition of the one-story house that's there?
It is still there.
Are they going to take it out?
That will, and that's written in the resolution also.
Okay.
That will have to be, yes.
Okay.
Removed prior to any building permit being issued.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there an opportunity to add to this resolution? If we
What are you
wanted
looking at? Well, I'm
to
sure, you know,
protect the tree line back there, if we're not going to put in a wall, because we're trying to protect that tree line, is there any way to say, okay, if those trees are removed, then yes, you have to put in a wall? You know what I'm saying? So after the third building is built, everything is passed, everything's gone, and then this congregation says, well, we want to trim back those trees and get rid of, half our trees at that point. What protects us from that? And then they've already, got permission, they don't have to build the wall.
Okay, so on the trees, if they're going to remove any additional, they're still going to have to give us a letter from the arborist if they're dead or anything, and get approval from the city manager. Now, in reference to replacing any additional trees is what,
Well, my concern is,
any protection,
again, that's the protection from the neighborhood is all those trees.
right? Right,
Or a masonry fence, right? Or a 6-foot masonry fence. Right now, we're being asked to bypass the masonry fence because, one of the reasons, because there's a lot of trees back there. But is there anything to prevent them from removing those trees after the third building is built or after it's complete? Besides,
them other than, they are not to go in there being a non-residential use and remove any trees unless they get approval.
they have to have approval to do that. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
being if they're dead or anything like that.
Yeah.
And most times on those, then the non-residential pieces of property, if needed, then they do have, just like we do
But-
along 407, have them replaced.
But this is still we're still saying it's SF40, so it's a residential property
But it's still a non-residential use.
use.
Yeah.
So that's the ordinance, is a non-residential use, not a non-residential zone
Right.
property. Okay.
That's correct. Churches, worship,
Have to have,
they are allowed in any zoning within the city of Highland
yeah,
Village.
but they have to have
They have to-
special permission to remove trees.
That is correct.
Okay.
And I think the concern there is if we bypass the wall altogether and let everything happen and everything is built out, and then the trees all die.
Then there, yeah. Will
Would they-
not be any trees unless we see them that they are gone.
Right, but I mean, I think what he's getting at is we're removing the wall as an option
As a requirement.
or as a requirement to put up the wall. And worst case scenario, all the trees die, now we don't have trees or a wall.
Let's see here.
Yeah.
Did I get,
and-
am I on the right?
Yes, yeah, pretty much so. What's the
understand what you're saying.
protection from that is what I'm saying.
And what if they don't build the other two buildings?
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Well,
Because
if
that's when we'd
right.
revisit it again if possible, yeah.
Right, right.
I am just reading what verbiage he had put in here under section 2.
And I don't know that it's a huge issue with this building. Obviously, it would be when we get to building 2 and building.
If you want,
Well,
make it part of the motion for city staff to look at that.
You look at it,
Yeah,
to look at, see if we can,
because we have.
and it would be some type of, and I don't know if it's rewording, but maybe in addition to section A there that, I mean, it does say the screening will be either this wood fence or trees. So
And
again, if the trees die or get removed, then I think I don't know if the 6-foot wood fence is
I think it's masonry.
appropriate.
It's a masonry fence, I think that they.
No, I'm saying, right now, it says it can be the trees or that wood fence.
I think the proposed one is masonry, isn't it?
Pardon me?
The proposed wall would be masonry.
Per ordinance,
For the
masonry
ordinance,
or
yeah.
brick, alternate
Yeah.
can be
Yeah, but what we're
requested
saying is,
outside of
okay, we can bypass that as long as
Yeah.
there's trees there.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, but, yeah, and I'm trying to say, have the city look at, okay, what's the backup if the
Contingency.
trees, yeah, what's the contingency if trees die or,
Especially if they're not doing a site plan amendment.
yeah. Yeah, that would be the only thing that I'd want to look at.
Well, that being said, there's 4 lots there. Of those 4 lots, those fences are owned by those 4 lots. So they're responsible for those fences, and right now, the applicant's only responsible for the one that crosses the street. At the dead end of the street.
If it's on the property line, everybody's responsible for it.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess what I'm saying is if one of those
But
4
the only
lots,
ones-
if
the
it
only
goes
ones that'll
away,
care-
then
right, the only
he's
ones
going to
that'll
want to
care.
put his fence
Right.
back up.
The only ones that'll care will be the guys that live there.
Yeah.
And plus, anybody that has a pool has to have a fence.
True.
Minimum 6 foot. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there
This
language
has
that
nothing to do with approval of this property, but our last meeting, we just approved I don't know, if council has acted on it yet, for the townhomes across the street from this property. Potential for a lot of construction going on that street, just adjacent to the school property. And that, my only concern is that there's going to be a lot of construction traffic on that street simultaneously. But that's not
They'll have
our,
to keep
that's
their
not our
self-fence.
issue.
Yeah. That other has not gone forward yet.
Yeah.
That's next week, but yeah, they'll have to keep their silt fencing up, and they're gonna have to watch everything then.
is there language that,
Well, I'm trying to think of
I can see the gears, there's smoke coming out.
something to the effect that we would want the city city staff to review I just had it, to review the requirement to protect either the natural tree barrier or the required masonry fence. And I'm not trying to make it sound like that masonry fence is required, because I think the way it states now is okay. It's just that somehow we have to write in there the city's protection that if the trees were to be removed or die out, then a masonry fence would have to be built there. As long as those trees are there, that's the barrier. But if those trees die out or
Or are not replaced and/or,
right.
because the city typically does not like the larger tree within those easements, that have a large root system.
Well, let me just maybe say something to that, because the reason why there's a requirement for a masonry barrier is because it's the way that it's zoned, but because it's use. Is the use of the property why it has to have a masonry
That is correct.
fence? Okay, now, so if there was like a commercial building or an office or whatever, you'd want, whether it's sound or, I mean, we're talking about a Zen temple here. There's already a 6-foot fence up. I don't see the need for a masonry barrier there especially when you see how far even the phases of the properties they are so far away from that fence. And there's no as of right now, the only thing, and I think it's the city required this, right, is that there's a fire lane. Did the city require that?
This, are you talking for this future?
I'm talking about this future.
That was the applicant putting that in there for future buildings. This
Okay.
is what they're not building at this time,
But it's a-
only this, but it
But it's a
does meet.
but it's a turnaround, and is that so
Yes.
that you can get access, like fire, and you can get behind the building and
Yep.
all of that?
Yes.
Okay. But still, I mean, you're looking at that massive property. I mean, it's on the first third of the property. So to put a masonry fence up, I personally don't see, a wood fence,
No, no, I'm
6-foot
not-
wood fence,
yeah, I'm
regardless of
not-
trees, is,
I'm not saying that the requirement should be met for the 6-foot masonry fence, but take it like this, Jared. What if there were absolutely no trees there, and it was just a vacant piece of property from the building to that back fence? I think you would want some type of permanent barrier there, more than a wood fence.
yeah, which you could always require as it's being built out in other buildings. You could require some other landscaping or something to go in at that time, right?
And you will see it again, the
Yeah.
commission.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like a lot of those trees, I mean, there's a retention pond that's going to be constructed. A lot of those trees are going to remain in the meantime. So
Yes.
it's kind of like, what,
Yeah,
you know?
and that's the point. As long as those trees are there, I think we're covered for
Yeah.
the barrier.
Yeah.
But if the trees go away and through, if they die or they're chopped down or whatever, then as that site gets barren, then I think you do need some type of a more permanent separation between this use and a neighborhood rather than just a 6-foot wood fence.
Yeah, well then, so the other thing that you had said is, where would that masonry fence go in relation to the current wood fence that's current?
And
Like, where do you, because the
just
retention
this wall.
pond
Anything future.
is right up into it and all the drainage. I mean, where do you even
That might
construct that
even
thing?
have to come next to this pond. I had talked with our utility operations director of public works and that, and he might be hesitant for anything to really go in there with all that easement drainage. Because also, the lots behind, they also have a 15-foot drainage easement. You don't like to put anything in there, especially of a solid structure and that's gonna
Yeah.
disrupt the drainage, and/or putting any type of structure within those water sewer easements.
I mean, I think that masonry barrier is for more of a sound, commercial, whatever, but we're talking about a Zen temple here. So I don't think there is maybe, and because it's on the first really third of that property, like you said, you're still going to have to, one, this is resolution, but you're still going to be able to have to see that and make whatever change to the site plan, the landscaping, whatever, as it continues to get built.
Yeah.
All I was saying is maybe there's a way to just say, well, again, because we're just approving the resolution, hey, there is going to be trees back there. They are going to be doing some construction from that pond, but to try to figure out in the future what to do or what language to put in, I don't know.
In Autumn, you were
May not
right.
be prudent at this time.
2C does address that on there, the very best one. It addresses it about any future development and having to remove any trees.
Yeah.
It's addressed.
It's addressed, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I don't have any other questions. Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions?
I don't think so.
No?
No sign, right?
No signage at this
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Used to in the future,
Yeah, I see it on there, that's good.
site plan amendment.
All righty. Do we have a motion?
You want to stay consistent?
I'll let
First
Steve,
your rolls, come on.
Steve looked like he was about to.
You okay with it as
Yeah,
submitted?
yeah, I think so, yeah.
Move for approval as submitted.
All right. Steve moves to approve. Do we have a second?
I second.
Yeah, Jared beat me to it.
Jared seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any deny? Motion passes 5-0. All righty.
Thank you.
Time for the future.
See, Jared, we're always talking about the future.
Okay, did you read the agenda item number?
Oh, number 7. Receive a status report on various projects.
Okay, so our next regular scheduled meeting date is April 18th. I do have 2 applications I am working on, okay? One site plan, one is a plan development amendment, PD amendment for signage.
Imagine that.
Okay.
Okey-doke, okay, that's it.
That's it?
That's it.
All right, I adjourn this meeting at 7:55.